are live.
No. OG Ma, you there?
Yeah, I hear.
OG Ma, you there? Oh, let me adjust this. What do you want? Mike, adjust. Let me adjust my screen real quick.
Okay.
Got my pasta towel, like you said. Yo, I've been sweating for the last 30 minutes.
What you
After
work
I,
with?
yeah, I ran, and then after I ran, it's just hard for me to. And then I shower, and then of course I don't even think I put too much lotion on. Y'all know how the struggle go. Y'all know how the struggle go. Let's do this one. Boom. Let's get the chat popping. Yo, make sure that you share this with a friend. Let
Good
me make
morning.
sure. How was your weekend, Mar?
It was good. It was productive. Um, just got more furniture, and what else
Would
did
you
I do?
grab?
A new table that I fucked up already.
How? How,
Like I
Sway?
screwed it in too much, and like it was coming out the top. It was like cheap wood. I got it from Target for $35. So yeah, you get what you pay for. So I'm
So
gonna
now,
return.
so now you gonna blame Target?
Yeah, it's cheap.
That's how that IKEA
Um,
stuff is. That IKEA stuff is. That's why sometimes when you get away from those directions,
mhm.
you think you could do it on your own,
Right. And
and
I was doing fairly well until like that one screw just like went all the way up. And so, I mean, other than that, everything else worked out. I got a TV and I'm like, I thought I would watch it more just because I have it. And I'm like, I still haven't got around to like figuring it out. So,
yeah.
but other
I took the TV out my bedroom,
mhm.
and I still and it. I don't know what you think about.
I
I
don't think
took
there's
that one.
anything wrong with it. I think that I substitute TV time with phone time. So it's not that I'm
Yeah,
just like this disciplined, oh, I don't get caught up. Like, and then also too, I am one of those people when it comes to shows, like I get really attached to a show. And then when it starts getting weird or falling off, I'm like, I'm not watching this shit no more. So yeah, I just tend to get like that. But there are like shows like year round that I do get caught up on. So but
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like you're not big on. Yeah, you're not big on like TV like that.
Yeah, like I could watch HGTV or like the Food Network. I
Yeah,
love
that's different.
food. Yeah, I could watch the
Yeah,
Food Network all day.
that's
I could watch
manifesting.
most stuff.
That's the manifest. Like I look at all those all those shows. Whether it's the now I go on YouTube and I look at the tours of the mansions. Like so,
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at all like these Florida mansions, and yo, so we went and toured around Star Island this weekend. Some of these cribs, man,
Mm-hmm.
like the amount of sometimes you need to get that little extra. Like, oh, there's people out here living like this. I
Actually
bet,
living like this, yeah.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
nice. Goals. Goals.
goals. So, what's the weather looking like over there?
It's 58 and cloudy right now. It's supposed to go up to 76, so that's good.
76.
That's
Dope.
comfortable. That's perfect.
That's hot. That's warm, bro.
I guess it's just comfortable. Like you don't really. I don't know. Oh, yesterday I took the train all day yesterday. That was really nice.
Yeah.
It was like just hoodie weather.
And just moved around. Yeah, I heard. Matter of fact, I think it was pretty nice in Jersey yesterday.
Mm,
I think it's pretty nice. It's I'm coming. I'm going back today, so it's 78 right now and sunny,
mm,
and then it goes up to 88. It's
mm.
in Florida now. It's gonna say thunderstorm every day,
Yeah,
and it won't necessarily, but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we got 4,000 people in the building, and we're gonna stay on topic today because Kamari, she put me on punishment last time. She said you gotta stay on topic, so we are definitely staying on topic today.
Yeah.
Grand rising, all the good people in the chat. Grand rising, good folk.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I love the flow of the conversation sometimes, and I love where it goes because it's authentic and like people are really invested. But no, I just thought it was funny. Like, okay, like let's stay on topic today. Like,
Let's stay on topic.
let's
So
talk
what
about
we
what we came to talk about.
Yeah, because it was because it we actually do spend time figuring out what we're gonna talk to y'all about, and
Right.
especially on the certain days, like what a Monday's gonna look like, Wednesday, Friday. So Friday was gonna be focusing on failing fast and becoming fearless, but it actually may be a good topic for a Monday.
Yeah, actually, because yeah, you want to like. I feel like with Mondays, you kind of just want to feel fearless. Like okay, I got organized over the weekend, so now I should be like prepare for Monday. Um, yeah, and so some of us may have failed fast at that today, but I think Monday's a good day for this conversation.
Yeah. So what do you think about when you hear fail fast? Because when I first threw it out there, I didn't put any context around it. And it's just like, well, fail fast. And it's like, what? Like what? Fail fast? Like what
That's
what comes to mind?
exactly that's exactly what came to me. I'm like, okay, well, what does he mean by this? And then I looked it up. And so when I looked it up, it was like a trending, conversation about failing often and like learning from failing often.
Yeah. And it's I don't know. It's always that I feel like we're always in a lot of us may be in that position to where we want to push ourselves to our
Mm-hmm.
limit. However, you don't want to fail. It's almost like damn near okay. Y'all know where I'm going. Sports analogy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like in the gym. Like say you want to push yourself to see how strong you are, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to get it to right before you fail. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily want that weight just squatting and you can't get up. However, the only way to really challenge yourself and know what you may need to work on is if you do push yourself to failure. A lot of people train to failure, but it really just teaches you a lot about yourself. Like it teaches you what you may or may not need to work on. And the faster you can learn about yourself and the faster you can learn how to overcome whatever challenge it is that you failed from, then it's going to put you in a position to be successful. So I think that's where the concept really, I guess, was grown out of.
Yeah. I think about when I'm making like shea butters or like body butters the first time. The first butter that I made was so hard and I was like, how do I get it soft? Or like it took me so many different times to get one the right consistency, the right scent, the right amount, just learning. And so I failed a lot.
Yeah.
You need to waste a lot of product or you just end up having a lot of just stuff that like maybe you can't sell. But in failing, I was able to get better or I learned. And so there's times where like if I know I'm making a certain amount, like I kind of can just do it without the measurements and looking at stuff. Because I failed so many times to the point to where like, okay, I get it. I got it now. And so it's never really a waste because you're learning as you do it and you just get better.
Yeah, definitely. It I don't know. What do you think? Is that like a centers around that contentment argument or that content conversation that we always talk about, as far as like being content, not wanting
Mhm.
to fail, or wanting to just have the courage to kind of just go out there? Because it takes a lot of courage to fail and to like not be, I don't know, like to not have your confidence suffer. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to fail, be cool with that, understand the lessons that you learn from it, and then yeah, we may have to just do this all over again. But going to your point, the faster we can get to these decisions, the easier it is going to be to turn. Because a lot of times we'll know we're going in the wrong direction, or but because we're too lazy to kind of say like, you know what, let's just turn left, or because we already put a certain amount of money into this, let's just keep going. And we know that
Mhm.
we're just digging ourselves more and more of a hole rather than just saying, you know what, toss it out, cut our losses here, and then keep it moving. It's like with the stocks. You see it going down, but in your head, you're kind of like, nah, because I don't want to take it out. It may go back up. Nah, yo, it's going to cut your losses, come back again tomorrow or something like that. That's kind of where I see it.
Well, yeah, and I think things fluctuate because, like, I was watching this lady. I can't remember. It's the mom from Baby Boy. Tyrese's mom. So she does a lot of like inspirational conversation and things like that. And she was talking to this lady and she was like, you know who you are. And it just hit. Like that's all she said to her. And it was like it kind of just hit for me because it's like, you know when you're productive, you know when you're sloppy, you know when you're on it, you know when you're not. And I think that there are seasons and times where you're just like coasting. You're like, I'm good. Like I don't need to do nothing more, nothing less. That can come from a true place of contentment. Maybe you've gotten to a certain level and now you're just like enjoying it or chilling in it. But then there's also moments when you know, like, I could be doing so much better, or I could be at a whole different level in any area of my life if I just stick to discipline doing these certain things. And I think there are moments and times when people really do just wait for like some shit to hit the fan to operate like that, or they, just do it on their own time. And I think there are moments where it's like, no, you got to be like, get your shit together. Like today is the day to be productive. Today is the day to handle my business, or this week, whatever. So I think you do have to have that conversation, but I think it fluctuates like through seasons.
Yeah, it's funny. So you mentioned one of my old little crushes, baby boy mom, Jody. But yeah, that's a good point. We talk a lot about knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that a lot of us take for granted. Like a lot of us may think we're something, or may have an idea of somebody that we want to be, of a person that we want to be.
Right.
But that's why we have tests. That's why you have to put yourself in a position to pass or fail, because we have tests to really understand, what exactly it is, who we are. Like that's exactly what a test is. So the more we're putting ourselves in these positions to understand who we are, the better we are going to have an honest, real understanding of who we are. So then we can be honest and realistic about what we need to do in order to get to wherever it is that we're looking to get to.
Yeah. I mean, and like she said, like, yeah, like just knowing who you are, like for me, it's like, and for anybody really, you can ask yourself, like, when you have a Zoom meeting, are you somebody who's fully dressed, or you just dressed from the top? Are you on time? Are you getting to the computer at 6:57, or are you getting to the computer at 6:45 and setting up and doing what you need to do? What time do you get to work? How do you get to work? Are you rushing? Do you have time to stop and get coffee? Like, so these different little habits, or everyday things that we do that can really speak to the areas in which we need to do better, or it can speak to how we operate, how we flow, how do we survive. Some of us just survive every day. Like, listen, all I need is coffee and I can get it done. And it's like, no, you need time. But yeah, so if you're in the chat, if you're watching the chat, like, what type of person would you say you are? Are you someone who is like, I need a schedule, or are you somebody who's just like, I go with the flow? And to be honest, I'll be going with the flow a lot. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on. What'd you say? I see you.
Did I just cut out?
Yeah.
My fault. You still on, right?
Yeah, I was still talking.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, like what habits you have, and what habits you could be better at. And I think we have these conversations with ourselves. Well, at least I feel like I do often, because there's opportunities to win and fail during the day. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're supposed to be at a meeting, or if you're supposed to be doing something, working on something, if you have a project that's due Friday and it's Monday, are you working on it, or are you waiting till Wednesday night? So it's just like there's different little habits that you can kind of like tell. But I had asked the chat, do they feel like they're someone who needs a schedule, or like, to stay on top of stuff, or are they, people who can just go with the flow?
And that's a great point with the schedule, because when you put a schedule up, like any type of, because all it comes down to me is accountability. So anytime we could put more pressure on ourselves to do something, because the schedule is just a test. Like
Right.
it's literally just a test of, okay, at 8 o'clock, I'm supposed to be here. At 9 o'clock, I'm supposed to be here. At 10 o'clock, I'm supposed to make this happen. And then
Right.
at the end of the day, you're literally grading yourself based
Yeah.
on how you did in that particular situation. The more like, and almost if we can treat it like if it's a game, You know, if we could treat it like it's a game where it's like, yo, how'd you do today? Like, yo, today was a win. You know, shoot, today may have been a loss. Like, and understand exactly why. Then it's all of this stuff. It goes to it's all the same principles, same concepts that we keep circling back around to. But I just the more accountability we can put ourselves on it with a schedule, on with holding ourselves accountable to, you know, having those checklist items that we want to go through every day. It's just going to put us in a very good position and get us used to feeling good, having the dopamine every time we check something off the list, like come into our brain and just have that feel good moment to where that can be the addiction. So therefore, we're always searching for it.
Yeah. And it's good to just reflect. Because, like, for me, honestly, I need to look at stuff often. Like, I need to have things pop up. So, like, I've been really utilizing my phone because, like, I can write stuff on my wall. Like, okay, Monday, this happens. Tuesday, this is good for when I'm in the house, but I need to be accountable for when I'm not in the house. So, like, you know, I've been good with like putting the reminders on my phone, good with like setting alarms, like, okay, set an alarm for 45 minutes or, you know, just so like I know that there's constant things, because if I don't have that, I will forget. And again, like I think we had talked about last week a little bit, like I don't really care for working from home because there's no, like, I'm just left to my own devices too much. But yeah, it's just, I can't, I like structure. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's read a couple of these.
Okay.
We got Kiki wrote, Kiki, what up? I definitely need to schedule. I feel off track and discombobulated. That's like, I'm sure that's a lot of us. Shakira wrote, I'm a person who needs a schedule. However, there are times when going with the flow is very freeing. Yeah, well, that's a good point. That
Yeah.
is a good point, because sometimes just on the strength of like having, but that's the whole thing. Like it's literally, it feels freeing because it's not holding you accountable to, like, it's not, you're not taking the test when you don't write the schedule. It's almost like a scrimmage. You know what I mean? You don't have to take it as seriously. So I guess maybe a balance of both. Maybe a
Sundays are
balance
my
of both.
Sunday is where I'm like honestly like going with the flow, like on purpose. Like
Yeah.
Sunday is my on purpose go with the flow. Now I mean I do a lot, but Sunday is on purpose.
Yeah. What I find myself, when I find myself going with the flow, and y'all tell me if this is y'all issue too, but I tend to want to work on certain stuff that I need to work on, but it's not necessarily, it's like the entrepreneur stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's the stuff outside of that I'm just building in different areas rather than, you know, the business consultant. You know what I mean? Like that's when I find myself being more free and just moving on that, which maybe means that that's a sign that I need to be focused more on that. But
Like your passion projects.
yeah, like the passion projects, but the business passion projects. Like if you know, nothing passion. Well, most of my passions, it's gotta make some
Well, I
financial
mean,
sense.
yeah, and usually they do sometimes. And so it's just like if I just want to make butter on Sundays, just
Yeah,
because I feel like it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Ultimately, it will get me somewhere. But yeah,
yeah. Maya wrote, I go with the flow, but I'd be a much better person if I made and stayed on track with a schedule.
same.
So then do it, sis.
Yeah, no, I feel
Portia wrote, morning, I go with the flow often, but getting into schedule has helped tremendously. Reminders and list on the iPhone are the best. Yeah, those, it definitely helps out. It definitely helps out, like the reminders, the calendar. And for me, so I was watching y'all know Gary V, and I looked at, he was showing his schedule, his calendar on his phone. He literally had, like, I'll have like the hour long 45-minute stuff on it, but he had like 5-minute increments. Like everything in his day, like a meeting, like literally 5-minute meeting here, 10-minute meeting here, 15-minute meeting here. And it was so specific. And I'm like, damn, I need to break mine down a little bit more. Cause I don't cover, like, if I have something on my calendar, then I'll address it on my calendar. But I feel like the more specific and narrowing it down, what we need to be doing this exact time, and scheduling in the breaks. If
right.
we need a break, schedule those in as well. If we're gonna, walk to get a coffee, all these different things, I think that we need to have on our schedule, and it's outside of just work. It could be working out, it could be meditating, like all these different things. I just feel that it can put us in a better position. But like you said, and like Shakia said, there need to be some days where it's just kind of like, let me just go with the flow because it's freeing.
Yeah, and balance. And then it's like your time to recharge, refuel. You know what I mean? You can use that time to just like get it together. I'm winging it 24/7.
Shout out to Jen. Is she lying? Jen, now
Dangerous.
you not winging it no 24/7.
Dangerous. Nah. But no, there needs to be, that time, that day. And I mean, you can incorporate it throughout the day. Like, okay, I'm going to take 15 minutes, kind of like how we do the 15 seconds at the end. Like, I'm going to take 15 minutes and I'm just going to sit, or I'm just going to like walk, or I'm just going to whatever, you know what I mean? To kind of like recharge and refuel. But I also think too, like how we talked about like texting ourselves. So sometimes like if I know I have like a Zoom call with somebody and I'm like, okay, I don't want to forget to say this, like I'll put it in my notes, like, conversation with this person today at whatever time. Because sometimes like I'll think of something, and then if I don't write it down, or if I'm not like strategic about remembering it, I'll forget it. So like I do things like that too, like put that in my phone. But yeah, it's just like how you operate. So it's just like set yourself up for success, and maybe on your free day or your go with the flow day, create a schedule or something. So yeah.
Yeah. And it has to be intentional. And
Mhm.
and I think so the other side of this conversation is the become fearless part. And when you start to fail fast, in my opinion, you start to develop that don't give a, you know what I mean? To where it's like, I'm not scared to fail. I'm not scared to, shoot my shot. You start to build your confidence through the lessons that you learn through failure. If you are having those takeaways and lessons and applying them to become, better, faster, stronger, smarter, whatever it may be in your particular field. But I think the become fearless, like that's what's really going to take us to the next level. Like when you cannot have a fear of poverty, when you cannot have a fear of going out on your own and starting a business, when you cannot have a fear of being your best self on the job. It could be in any area, but when we start to get to that fearless stage, then we're gonna I don't know, there's just gonna be a certain level of confidence that comes across in whatever that we're doing that, in my opinion, will produce much better work.
Yeah. So as you fail and you learn and you get better, and as you get better, it develops a confidence, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I definitely can go after this now, or I can do this contest now because I've learned so much, or in failing, I've acquired so much information because I went back and kept trying to figure it out. So now that I'm to the point where I got it, I have the confidence to be like, oh, I'm going to win this. Like, I'm going to go in with a different attitude because you're way more prepared. You kind of know what you know, and like you've learned, you know what I mean, the ins and outs. So it kind of sets you up to have that confidence to win or
Yeah.
to go at it with a different approach.
Yeah. I always think about like, and I want to be very clear on like, as far we're not preaching to just be out here just failing, like looking for L's. Like we're not saying that. Um, however, when you have like, let's take a guy like a Floyd Mayweather, who, he had a perfect record in boxing. So you would look at it as if like, damn, he didn't fail once. You know what I mean? Just perfect. But the failure probably comes, in the training. A lot of times the training, we got to fail in training. We got to try different things, put ourselves in the uncomfortable positions that we're in when we're doing the training. So that way, when it's time to really show up for the game situations, or when we need to really be called on at work, or, in our personal lives, family, whatever it may be, we'll be better suited to address any obstacle that comes our way. And
Right.
it's like fail in practice. Like, what they, your practice should be harder. Your practice should be harder than the game. And then once you get to the game, then it'll kind of just, you'll be able to be in that flow state, rather than just maybe winging it, unless you can really wing it like Jen.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just you know what you know. Like if you know, like you have a competition or you have a meeting and you know that you need to remember some stuff, you need to have your notes. You need to write it down. Like I know for me, like I have to write stuff down in order for me to like really get it. Hold on, what she say? How do you get over your fear of failing?
Yeah, what you think about that?
Yeah. I think it depends on each thing that you're going up against. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can talk yourself through something. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can, again, practice and prepare for something. But keep trying new things, keep trying things that kind of push against your norm. And I think maybe eventually, you kind of, I guess, not fear as you continue to do stuff or as you continue to try new things and succeed at it. Just not
Yeah.
being afraid to try new things, I guess, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I think just doing it. Like literally, there's shoot, I was reading this book and they were talking about different fears in life. And if you don't like address it directly, then it's always going to be there. Like whatever that fear may be, it could be like we all like think about the bully example at school. Like until you punch that bully in the mouth, like it's that fear is always going to be there. It just is what it is. So that's the same approach with a goal or anything else. Like if we fear, let's say, being moving up, getting a promotion on the job, we fear like, man, I'm in this management role now. Like, so I need to be in this management role. Like you
Yeah.
got to be in it. You got to just, until you get to that position and you can really just be in it, and approach it with a certain level of energy that you would approach, anything else, then I don't think we will get over it. And that fear, what's so dangerous about it is, hold up. They coming to get more. But that fear, why it's so dangerous with the fear is because that fear gets passed down. Like fear will get passed down from generation to generation. And that's something that we don't look at like that. And I think we kind of touched on it the other day, which is it's your responsibility and duty to get over your fear, because if not, you're literally passing that down to the next generations. They've done like so many of these different studies where fear, nightmares, all these different things, bad memories from generations and generations ago, I believe up to like 14 generations will get passed down to your offspring.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But another thing too is like we just can't escape failure. We can't escape
Yeah.
life, bad moments. And so it's a part of life. And like simple as like you'll always be afraid of flying until you get on a plane. You just have to get on a plane to get over that fear. So there's some things you just have to do it. And there's this book that we read when we're working with the kids, and they're like, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you have to go through it. It's called Bear Hunt, a kids book.
I like that.
Yeah, you just have to go through some things. And then like when you come to the other side, you're like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. Or
Yeah.
at least you know what you know when you come to the other side. So now you're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah. And if you embrace the journey, like look at it from a different perspective, go into it where it's like, even like it's a win-win situation for me. Because if I win, I win. And that means I need to challenge myself more. But if I take a L and I quote unquote fail, then I'm going to be learning so much that I now can apply for the next one. If I'm like failing, that means it's telling me something like, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. So don't even look at like failure how we typically look at it, like, you're a loser, you're a failure. Just look at it like, I'm pushing myself to go on this journey. So that way I'll take little L's along the marathon, but the overall marathon, I'm going to come out, victorious. So I would kind of look at it like that and to just take the little steps. Like when you start stacking those little wins, which is important, like while we do the day to day, when we have our checklist for the day, those are just little wins that we're stacking. So every little win is going to give you the confidence to push yourself a little bit more, to challenge yourself in different areas, and to understand, like, I feel like it's a process with learning, like to learn lessons, like you have to go through something to even understand how to have the right takeaways and how to now apply them to the next time that you go about it.
Yeah. And like sometimes too, like depending on what I'm doing, like so say if I want to have a successful time walking, like if I'm going for a walk or if I'm going to the track, like I make a playlist that I know I'm going to enjoy while I'm on that walk. Because sometimes like, I mean, I like to listen to music. So that's just something that I'll do. Or even just like, if I know, like, no, that idea that I sent you to, that lady who said, give yourself 90 minutes set the vibe up, like whatever
Mm-hmm.
is productive to you, maybe a bowl of grapes and a glass of wine and your computer and whatever work you got to do and like whatever music you want playing or podcast playing in the background, you have that and you just say, okay, set a timer, Alexa, whoever, set a timer for 90 minutes and you just go ham on what it is that you need to do for the next 90 minutes and just see what comes out the end of that. So like setting up maybe like little fun creative ways to challenge yourself to get the things that you need to get done. Um, yeah. So,
It's the game. It's the game. Like I feel like I really believe that the more we can treat life as if it's a game, then it'll allow us to kind of take away the things that we need to take away to actually win. It's like that Stoic book. Y'all know I'm a Stoic now, so I abide by the Stoic principles. And the whole thing about the Stoic principles is to play a game with yourself. It's and I don't know. Did we talk about this on the show? Because sometimes I get our convos all messed up. Our personal all right.
okay.
So with the Stoic, it's like every situation that you're in that you would typically look at as a negative situation. Like this is terrible. This is annoying. The guy pretty much based his book off of an experience at the airport. You go to the airport and you intentionally book the early flight because you have to be there, let's say for something important, wedding, business meeting, whatever. But of course, the plane gets delayed. The plane's delayed. Then they're saying it's a mechanical issue. Then you get on the plane and
Right.
then you have to deplane because they're talking about, they should be able to fix it and then just give us a couple minutes. But then they're like, oh, you got to get off. Then he got back on a new plane, had to deplane again, eventually ended up having to stay in that city. They put him in a hotel. The first hotel room was dirty. And he just looked at it as a game. Like every little thing, it's like, yo, like he's playing with life. Like what else can you throw my way? And I'm not going to lose my cool. I'm still going to be resilient. I'm not going to let you put me in a negative mind state where everybody else is complaining, focusing on the negative. I'm always just going to remain positive and stay on that. So I feel like everything is still perspective based. So
Yeah.
by changing our perspective and looking at it as if like this is a challenge that if I'm able to get through it, when I'm able to get through it, it's going to make me a better person. It's going to better prepare me for not only situations like this, but situations that may be even worse. So I think like if we could just use that concept of making life like whatever it is that we're going through a game, then it'll put us in a position to where the failure doesn't necessarily feel as much as a failure. It just feels like, oh, we just need to work on this in practice the next day, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's funny that he went through that during traveling because I feel like that's when it happens for me too. Like when traveling, you're like, I need to be where you're just trying to get where you're trying to go. You know what I mean? And so like something, happens in between that and you're messed up. But Desiree has said proper preparation prevents poor performances. Very true too, because there's been times where like in traveling, I didn't have cash on me and something required cash. And I'm like, fuck, like, why didn't I stop at the ATM? In my mind, I'm just thinking like, oh, well, I'm about to be here. So I'm not going to need to do this, this, and that. And it's like, no, just always come prepared. I have a girlfriend who is like so prepared. Like if there was a disaster, everything is in her goddamn purse. Like if I'm with her, we're good. And it's just like, so I'm like, if any, like I think about it and it makes me look at myself. I'm like, I have none of those things in my bag, none of those things in my bag, and just
Mm-hmm.
like she's just always prepared. But it does help you. So it's like looking at the things that you need to prepare yourself for the day, prepare yourself for traveling. But that travel one is a doozy. Yeah, I've had a moment where like, oh, I'm gonna be there at 12:30. I'll see you in a little bit, and it's like, yeah, tomorrow. Well, shoot, when that whole thing happened with the blizzard here or whatever, like people were stuck here
Mm-hmm.
like a week and like flights out were like 1,800. If I really wanted to get home, I did not have a spare 1,800 just to hop on a 2-hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
yeah.
and you know what's dope? Like it's always that's always the cool person, like the James Bond type or who could be
Yeah.
cool under pressure. And everybody wants to be that, but it's just as soon as the situation comes up, it's hard to keep your cool. It's hard to
Yeah.
keep your cool, and it's hard to just keep that perspective. Like what he was talking about in the book was more so like a lot of us we tend to look at it like, why is this happening to me? Like who's
Oh
messing with
yeah.
me? You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And we put that in our mind rather than like, okay, what's the best way to deal with this situation? Like, what's the
Yeah.
worst case scenario? How can I get through it? So it's all like they're all intertangled.
Well, I was gonna say
or
that.
intertwined.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because sometimes that's where that go with the flow kind of position can help you. You know what I mean? Where you like, well, hey, look, if we're stuck here, there's nothing we can do about it. What are my options? You know what I mean? Like having that calm kind of just like, well, what's next? Or what do we, how do we operate? So that kind of go with the flow mentality can help there too. It's a mix of things. So I think, just really looking at the situation by situation and preparing for what you can and just trying to maintain that go with the flow.
yeah. Portia wrote, and also sometimes failing is the lesson. Yeah, that's it's you got to like how many. It's almost as if okay, and y'all don't have to put this in the group chat, but you know, when's the last time that you failed? Like, when's the last time that you failed at something? And it could be you could write it in the group chat, or you can kind of just keep it in your head. But write in the group chat for conversational purposes. But
That damn table. Shit.
you said what?
I said that damn table.
That tape, yeah, because
So bad.
you took the chance or you took the challenge on to actually put it together. And the
Yeah.
thing is, like people that don't fail in life, it's almost like the kids that grow up without any challenges. It can be, it's almost, I guess, for the parents, I guess y'all can speak on it, but as a parent, I would assume that you don't want your kids to like go through rough times and hardships. However, for them to actually build character and for them to, you don't want them going through life like super naive, not knowing what's going on and kind of just, I don't know, like not prepared to deal with realities. So you have to, in some ways, embrace the challenges, the hardships. Like I assume that's why a lot of parents put their kids in sports. Like it's a safe way of teaching your kids, like, yo, you're gonna fail at things. And this is a safe way to teach you to get over the hardships, to get over the things and kind of relate it to the real life stuff that people are gonna have to go through.
Yeah, even when like I'm working with kids, sometimes letting them work out their own differences, like you know what I mean, before. And now obviously if they're just like this person took my crayon, you guys can figure out how to work that out. Like sometimes, age appropriately, but you let them kind of figure certain things out. Um when they're playing games with other people, are you sharing? Are you passing? Are you, all those different things. And so I think lessons on challenges can come from so many different places. And I'm sure, again, like you said, I'm not a parent, but like parents, you definitely want to hide them from like the huge, big things. But like I've noticed with kids, like they really can sort out stuff, especially depending on what the challenge is. And so I think sometimes when working with kids, like, yeah, you want to be like, I don't want him to get on this slide again because he might fall. Or,
Mm-hmm.
we're just projecting that fear or projecting whatever. But it's like, okay, I got to let them do it. I got to let them fall. I got to let them see how he gets up. Is he going to brush his knee off and just go right back? Or is he going to fall out? So it's just like,
It's a test. It's a
yeah.
test.
So you kind of let them learn, that way. And sometimes scary, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a test. And yo, is it? You tell me what you think about this. Like as we get older, we become more and more scared to fail because the urgency goes up. Like there's more on the line. We may have a family, like all these different things, and it goes back to what we always talk about with the kids, like why Disney movies are so great because you have kids. Like when you're a kid, you really believe that you can do anything. Like you'll watch Peter Pan and think like, yo, there may be a day that I can fly. Like there may be a day. You'll just watch all these different things in your imagination, which is so
Yeah.
key to being successful in any area. Like just having like an imagination that you can then apply to reality and become reality. It's as we grow older, it's something that we constantly need to make sure that we're aware of because little kids don't care. Like little kids are pushing the limit. Like if the line is right here, little kids are creeping up to that line and figuring out, yo, how can I want to go until I fail. Whereas we become adults, it's kind of like, yo, I'm like kind of good where I'm at. I just want to, I don't want to take it overboard. You just become a little bit more content, and you don't necessarily. It's almost like we don't want as much out the world, or we're cool with not getting as much out the world as long as we're in a cool little space.
Well, you learn to become safe. You learn to
Yeah.
become like, like, okay, well, I fell the last time I jumped, so I don't think I really want to do that again. Even though, like, maybe you gotta fall 3 times and then on that fourth time you don't fall. You know what I mean? But like in your mind, you're like, nah, I kind of failed the first time and I know what failing feels like, or I know that if I keep trying this, like, I don't have the money to be trying to run a business right now, or while I'm taking care of a family, or I don't have the finances to do this certain business opportunity because it's too risky. You know what I mean? So we kind of count our losses beforehand, or
Yeah.
we kind of see, like, okay, this is what could happen if we fail, more so than this is what happens if we could succeed. And so I think it's more about your mindset going into it, or like your perspective on what you think is going to happen at the end. So yeah.
Nah. Yeah, I agree. It all boils down to perspective, because we all know, like, you ever just been around somebody who's super positive? Like a
Hmm.
super positive person, like no matter what they're going through, they're always looking at it with the right mindset. And it always puts them in a position where they can get something out of, they can benefit from any situation that they're in, rather than somebody who's always super negative. They're going to live in that victim mode, more so. So yeah, perspective. But Kiki,
Okay, go ahead.
you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kiki wrote, I asked for a promotion for like 8 months because of the pay. Not thinking about the workload. I kept making mistakes. I felt it was too hard and asked to be demoted after 6 months. Yo, that's shit. Hold up. Did you get another? Hold on. We gotta there's more. There was that was that was my ultimate failure moment, LOL. But my manager wouldn't let me and motivated me to stay in my position. Thankfully, yo, that's the thing.
I
That
like it.
you got a good manager, because I feel like a lot of people would have just been like, yo, it is what it is, like,
Mm,
cool, or they would have just been disappointed, like, yo, you took a promotion and now you're stepping down. So I'm
right.
sure that they recognize that you're a good person, and you came to them in like a humbling energy, saying like, hey, I'm not sure that I'm built for this particular thing. But then they challenge you, I'm sure, to kind of like, okay, well, here, why don't you work on this, why don't you work on that, walk you through it, and you stuck with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Good.
there's, yeah, and understanding what we're not built for is, just as important, to understand what we are built for, because the stuff that we're not built for, then we can either decide to avoid it or we can decide to work on it, because those are just the areas that we need to improve on.
Yeah. Um, and I also think too, like, some challenges are hard, right? Like some things are just hard, and you can acknowledge it. I think it's really about making space, but like really having that mindset of, I know I'm gonna get through this anyway. And even if you just need a moment to be like, yo, this is a lot, but okay, what do I need to do? Because sometimes if we ignore that part of it, then we don't really think clearly and we're just doing. Like really just sit and say, okay, this is a lot, but I want to get through this. What is it that I need to do to get through this? Who do I need to call? Who do I know who motivates me, or who, whatever, just whatever the situation is. I know, like, when trying to move to a whole nother state, it's like you can literally get lost in doing 1,000 things. So it's like, okay, do I need to speak to a realtor? What apartments do I need to call today? What numbers do I need to, like, all those different things to approach to get to what it is that you're trying to do. And it's like there's some moments where you just have to be like, let me reset, let me get
Yeah.
this together, let me organize, and really just get to it. And sometimes when we are so frustrated in the moment, we don't take that time to just reset and say, like, okay, let me focus on this first and reorganize. Because sometimes when a lot is coming at you, you just try to handle it all through the day instead of just really allotting the space and time for things. I know at least I get through that.
Yeah, and I just put up that question because, like, I think when we talk about perspective and we just talk about the word failure, like a lot of people just may not want to hear the word failure. So even if you need to tell yourself that, create a new word where, oh, I'm just learning, like, oh, I learned something like that. So I don't, like, maybe it's the word, maybe we shouldn't even call it failure, because a lot of times when we call it failure, it may be associated with like some sort of defeat, and that may break somebody's confidence. So just, it goes back to knowing yourself. Like, if you're the type of person that if it's going to come back as a failure and that's going to mess up your whole energy and psyche and everything, then maybe you want to call it something else. But if you can get to a point where you're just laughing at it, like, oh, I failed, like, yo, what did we learn from it? Then, but it all goes back to that perspective that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all like, I think it becomes easier to do when you just do it more. Like, you just do it more. Just try new things. Um, yeah, just keep trying new stuff, trying things that you like, even in your passion, like even in the stuff you feel like you still feeling that, but it's still like because you love to do it or you enjoy to do it, you'll come back to it.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
think about how many of us have failed since middle school with relationships. You know what I mean? Like you fail every relationship until you get that one good one. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And yeah, so
yeah.
it can be applied to literally every area of life,
Yeah, I mean, like in dating, you fail a lot. Other people fail a lot. But it's not like something you're not going to be like, I don't ever want a partner again. Well, I don't think you should have that perspective. You know what I mean? Just because you go on a couple of bad dates or, dates that just it doesn't work out, it's like, it's not going to stop me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever.
Unless you're Will Smith, it should stop you and you should move on. Nah, see, she trying to get me going. Nah, I'm just joking. But yeah, but all joking aside, yeah, it's I don't know, the pivoting. Pivoting, I think the biggest takeaway for me is the pivot aspect. Like when you're able to pivot from a particular situation, don't stand there. Like don't just stand in the, what is it called? What's that mud called? The
Yeah.
mud that sinks. Quicksand. Like
Quicksand.
don't just be the person that's just standing in the quicksand knowing what's eventually about to happen. Like, nah, like it's quicksand, get up out of there. Because what happens with the quicksand, the longer that you stay in there, the harder it's gonna be to get out.
Quickly.
So it's
Yeah.
it's about pivoting. It's like, yo, this situation ain't right, I'm out. This job ain't right, I'm out. I'm starting to see these red flags that I ignored before, I'm out. And I want to be better. So
Yeah, and it's about wanting to be better, and that's the thing. Just having real, honest communication with yourself, having real, honest communication with someone that you look to as a mentor, having real, honest conversation with people that know you best, and just be like, okay, I want you need sometimes accountability on certain things, and you know where you're going to get it from. You know the friend that's going to let you chill, and you know the friend that's going to let you know, like nah, you said you had to do this or whatever. And so it's just like setting yourself up for success by like just doing the work of preparing yourself or having the right people around you.
yeah. And you talked about it earlier with your products.
Mm,
Like you're gonna spend a whole month trying to make a product, trying to get the right scent, for your beard butter,
mm,
or are you just gonna make one, you know what I'm saying, and let people actually try it? Or are you gonna be scared to like, oh well, I gotta make it perfect? No, let people try it, get the feedback, so that way you may
yeah,
be moving. You could save yourself a whole 30 days of working. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You can and be working on something that's actually conducive to, you know, getting to the right formula that you're looking for.
right.
So
Yeah, even like how after this show, or if you are a content creator, looking at your insights, like it helps you to say, okay, a lot of people are looking, um, a lot of people are looking at you from different places. Okay, New York is heavy versus Florida versus Chicago. So now I know maybe who I need to market to differently. Like, so just looking at your insights. Hey, Gail.
yeah, that's a big one. You got to read that one.
Okay, she said, "Great morning, enjoying you both. Failure is written in pencil." Okay,
I like that. I like
period.
that. Yo, that's the new energy we on. We taking that one. Failure is written in pencil.
Yeah,
Like that's a big one. I think we all should adopt that concept because that's all it is. It's temporary. We decide if we want to, attack it again and go for the win again.
yeah,
So this is and I wanted to real quick mention it that we're gonna be doing adding a couple different things in where we're highlighting some people in the community who are elevating in different ways in whatever area that they're in, like elevating the culture. So if you guys are ever thinking of somebody in your community that either has a business or they're just doing some dope stuff and we want to highlight them, y'all just let us know, either Instagram, text, reach out to us. We can highlight them, their business. But, obviously we're all about elevating on this. So, one of the best ways to do that is to highlight people that are doing the work in the community as well.
Yes, I love that. I like that.
Boom. We got a couple more. Uh, so what did Jade write? Just because something comes to an end, fails, doesn't mean it wasn't successful. Sometimes things are meant to be in our lives for a lesson or an experience or a season. I like that.
Heavy on the
What you?
experience, yeah.
Yeah. What? It. Yeah. I mean, think, because I guess even if it's a L, or even if it's something that doesn't work out, as long as the takeaway is there, like that's what you really want from it. Like
Yeah.
it's like you want to play the game, you want to win, but a lot of people win and don't learn the lessons, and a lot of people lose and do learn the lessons. So when you look at it, who really was the most successful.
Yeah. And even when you think about like how we were talking about like our past selves last week or whatever, like I partied a lot where I should have been a little more structured, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
Like that's how I have to look at it. Like I could have done better, I should have done better, and now I'm doing better. But it's like it was a good time, whatever. I acknowledged the good thing. I learned a lot. Moving on.
And that's exactly, that was Jade's exact next message.
Yeah.
Then we're meant to take the lesson and keep moving.
Keep it.
So yeah, I think whatever, and I guess that's where it becomes real individual based, because
Yeah.
going back to knowing yourself, like if you're the type of person that is gonna get super overwhelmed with just like scheduling every single moment, then maybe you got to balance it out a different way. Like you got to find what works best for you, and the only way to find what works best for you is to test out different things. So the
Yeah.
more we're testing out different things, okay, boom, a schedule for me was great on Monday and Friday, because on Monday it was cool to set the tone. On Friday it was just a day where it's like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm finishing all this stuff. And then maybe Wednesday I kind of just glanced over the goals for the week. So
Yeah.
yo, tell
My
them
background
if they,
wild.
yo,
I'm
shout
trying
out
to figure
them.
out. I was all panicking right here, like I'm failing at trying to find the mute button for y'all. So you
Nah,
gotta have to hear that. But
Kamari over there on 63rd. They ain't know you live on 63rd.
no. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, working with kids, approaching tantrums, approaching behavioral issues with children. Um, how do I like today? Okay, I know that Bobby will bust out wilding if I say no ice cream before dinner. He's going to do it every single day, even though every single day we do not have ice cream before dinner. How am I going to approach that today? So even like using that just in my like everyday life, like how am I going to approach this behavioral issue, or how am I going to, you can fail every day and you can win every day, but each day you're just trying something different and see what works best.
Yeah. And it's almost, all right, so you want to create momentum, right? Like in any situation you want to create momentum, then it's going to be easier to kind of continue going. So it's like when we talk about like the little steps, the little wins can be so early in the day. Like it could be, let's say if it's for a kid, starting off where, or even a matter of fact, not even a kid, an adult, making your bed every day, first thing. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I already got my first win.
Mhm.
It could be waking up at a certain time. And if you're always waking up at 8, you don't have to just go straight to 5. You can gradually, work yourself. You know what? I'm gonna do 7:45 today, and
Yeah.
gradually work myself back. And get the little L's, because sometimes when you don't manage the expectations realistically, whatever your version of realistic is, then it can
Yeah.
kind of just be like, man, forget it. Like I said I was gonna wake up at 6 or at 5. It's 6:37. I might as well just sleep till 8. So
Yeah.
like when you manage the expectations and keep it real and understand that everything's gonna be like that marathon approach. Like it's gonna be slow, but you don't have to wait for the big gain to start, checking things off the list and to start, patting yourself on the back a little bit, where it's like, okay, boom, I started off, I made my bed, I only press Zoom, I only press snooze once. That was the goal for me. I usually press it about 4 or 5 times. And we
Right.
all struggle with it. I know I struggle with it. But when you start setting those little steps, where it could be something as simple as like, oh, I want to make my coffee, and kind of relax and drink it in the morning, rather than be rushing out the house and, like different things like that. where we can just kind of set the tone, and it puts us in more control of our day. So that way it gives us more control on what we get out the day.
Yeah, and think about like how good it feels. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know for me, the perfect morning would be like getting up, showering, making breakfast, like actually like making breakfast and like then leaving,
Hmm.
opposed to not. Like, then I'm like standing in line at like Starbucks or something, and then I'm like irritated when I have coffee at home and I can just take my time to do it in the morning. So it's just like it feels good to like sit down in the morning and like be with yourself. But it's like we have to prioritize that. So, like, making it a priority, and almost like again reparenting yourself. Like, what do you tell your kids, or what do you say to kids in the morning? Like, get up, get dressed, come downstairs, have breakfast, have a moment, and then prepare to leave. And it's like that's the goal every morning. And so kind of like doing that with yourself, like, no, this is what we do, this is what we have to do in the morning to have a successful day, to get out on time. And so kind of like maybe being strict, but just making it a priority, if that sounds better.
And being realistic with the schedule, because I think
Yeah.
sometimes what throws us off with the schedule is we try to pile everything in
Right.
to, like, yo, I'm gonna do this, do that in 5 minutes, and it's going to take longer than that. Like, actually
Mhm.
factor in as you're going through the day, like, oh, I didn't think that after I ate, I would use the bathroom before leaving the house, whatever it may be. Like, try to factor those things in, because the schedule in all actuality should give you the ability to kind of relax a little bit more. Like,
Yeah.
if it's, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a schedule that's,
Exactly.
when we talk about getting discombobulated earlier, I think Kiki mentioned it. That's stressful.
It
Like,
is.
that's stressful. Like, create a schedule that allows you to kind of like understand that I can kind of just flow with this. And by the end of the day, I'm still going to get done what it is that I needed to get done, because I know I'm following through with the plan, rather than just kind of being all over the place. You don't have a particular guide. Like, there's no frame of reference to even understand, like, yo, where am I? That's why you have a first quarter, second quarter, third, you know what I mean? Like, align your day with certain things. Like, okay, by 10, I wanted to, be this. By 1, I want it to be this. And then at the end of the day, I want to start winding down. I want to take a half an hour to just kind of relax before I head off from work, and maybe answer any emails or stuff like that, rather than just getting out of there because you got to shoot home or pick up the kids or whatever it may be. Like, create a schedule that allows you to be in a relaxed state, an efficient state, but also a very productive state. So it's finding that balance for you.
Yeah. See how it works out. Just test it. Let's just all test it as much as we can today.
Yeah, like we tested on this show, uh,
Yeah.
being a little bit more like not cutting Kamari off, doing all this stuff. It didn't feel right. It still doesn't feel right. But I'm
I
gonna
was gonna
test it out
say,
and see what the results are.
right. I think we did good today. I think we did great today.
He did. It's always great because it's always real, and there's
Yes.
always respect no matter what the conversation is. So let's get it. Yeah. So once again, yo, y'all let us know. Like, if you have a business, Jade, let's do a highlight. Come on. Jade is a dope interior designer. There's a lot of people that are doing some real dope stuff. Whether you're independent or not. There may be some things that people in the chat, like, we should be using this as a network as well. Because if we're gonna all be getting on at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock for Kamari, why not, understand what everybody's doing? So maybe, we can incorporate that into it a little bit more Wednesday, or we can kind of, just we won't make y'all, announce yourselves. Hi, my name is such and such. I do this. We don't doesn't necessarily have to do that. However, if y'all want, maybe we can reach out to y'all. Y'all reach out to us, but we can highlight some of what y'all are doing. Like
Yeah.
I said with Jade, like, she's doing interior design. Like, everybody, that's something that everybody's going to need at a particular time, or somebody that probably needs it right now. So the more we can use this as a network, lean on each other, and we want to be super efficient with anything that we do. So if y'all are going to be coming on here, spending an hour with us, we want to make sure that we're maximizing the value that we can give to y'all, and create a network that we all can grow from.
Yes, I love that.
So, and then well, we'll save the other we got another edition for y'all, but we'll save that for Wednesday. And we wanted to keep it to an hour today, just since y'all were so nice and going over to 2 hours on Friday. But we know y'all got a lot of dope stuff to do. We know this week's gonna be an amazing week. And there it goes. Hold up. Let me throw Jade on there. Oh, we got two. We got Boom. Oh, we got Ant. What up, Ant? I didn't know
Screenshot.
Ant was on here. I didn't even know Ant was on.
Hey, Anthony.
My dog. Hello, Jade. I'm an architect. I love to. All right, boom. Oh, I'm all late. Y'all, they already did it. They already did the exchange. I'm over here throwing up like.
We late.
All right, y'all got it. Y'all exchanged it. Boom. But yeah, dope people. Yo, conversation earlier. When dope people connect and have good intentions, then that's how we elevate. So
yeah,
that just set the tone on the day. But Mar, you'll give us our 15,
okay.
and yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's take these 15 seconds to really just reflect on our week ahead, to reflect on our day ahead. Look at spaces where you can go with the flow. Look at spaces to where you can create more discipline in your day or in your time this week. But really just think about you and who you are as a person and how you want to show up this week. What are some of the things that you want to accomplish this week? How do you want to feel on Friday? So think about that feeling and what it will take to get to that. So let's start now. Five seconds. All right. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. And y'all know now the show goes by, we don't show Queez love. So shout out to Queez. Queez is still in the building, always in the building. But yo, y'all enjoy y'all week. Attack it. Like attack it in a way that makes the most sense for you. You know, be that person that's bringing positivity into every room and every interaction that you have. And I'm definitely gonna try to hold myself, gonna hold myself to that standard as well. So with that, yo, y'all enjoy it. Have a good one. Mar, give you the last word.
You guys, you got this. That's it.
All right, make it happen. We'll see y'all on Wednesday.